she's hanging out with you. Nice Swiss for everyone too. Please enjoy. And if you want a second one to take home for your wife or kids, just ask Claire. Okay, so what is uberAgent in one or a few sentences? Basically, it's a tool that tells you what is actually going on your machines, on your physical PCs, on your virtual desktops, or on ZenApp, BI, you name it. We support it all. So it provides visibility, shows you how fast or how slow things are. In one sentence, how I like to describe uberAgent kind of to my neighbor. Well, uberAgent shows you why your Windows machine is slow. Because after all Windows machines are slow, at least perceived slow. Now, what sets uberAgent apart? One thing I'd like to start with is, if you think of the typical enterprise IT product, what comes to mind first? Stop ideas. Just one word, enterprise IT. What software? What do you associate with it? Expensive. Expensive. Good one. Someone else? Complicated. Next, thank you. That was the one I was waiting for, honestly. And well, this was kind of hinted at by the slide. Well, many products in the enterprise, they are pretty complicated. You need consultants to set them up, consultants or trained staff to maintain them, to operate them, and things can sometimes get really, really messy, difficult, much more than it should be. There is a nice quote. It has been attributed to Einstein, but I think that is wrong. But anyway, it's a nice quote. It goes something like this: make everything as simple as possible, but not simpler. So don't oversimplify, don't make it stupid, but make it easy to use. That's our philosophy we are following when we're designing uberAgent. You can set up everything you need to run uberAgent, excluding your own Windows machine you're interested in, but you can set up the Splunk backend and the uberAgent agent if you're slow and going for a coffee in about 30 minutes. If you're fast, you need maybe 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. So with that, you're already on it running. You immediately get data and you're good to go. But that simplicity, it doesn't come at a price. Right? There was a not in there. So we do give you the flexibility. You need an enterprise IT because enterprise IT is complex. There are many, many different products that need to interoperate, network heterogeneous, and you need to make the products you use need to adapt to what you have. So we provide various configuration options. You can tune uberAgent to change the way the metrics it collects and so on. So we do have all that, but not, at least I like to think of it like that, not at the cost of simplicity. So right after the installation, everything is configured, every metric is, every data is collected for everything you'd like to see, but if you want to switch something off, you're good, you're happy to do so. Parsley chocolate, I see some people munching, so you like them? It's good, German chocolate! I think it is German. It's an interesting story, by the way. It's a family network. The husband, he's a chef, and the wife, she organizes the printing of the chocolate, so that's a nice simile. Okay, uberAgent is built on Splunk, so we're using Splunk as a backend, and Splunk is simply awesome. Some of you know that already. If you're Splunk customers, I've seen thumbs up. Thank you. Splunk is basically scales unlimited. There's no limits with regards to scalability. If you're a small shop with a few hundred employees, if you're a big shop with hundreds of thousands of employees, Splunk can do it all, and so can uberAgent. There's no single point of failure. We can work with one big data center. We can work with a distributed kind of deployment with branch offices. So I'm pretty sure any scenario that you could come up with, along with the help of the network guys, we can support it all. Another thing, I just talked to a colleague of mine, a consultant who's been using uberAgent for some time, and one thing I heard from him that made me really happy is, well, uberAgent is one of the products that give me the least trouble in all of the products I'm working with. We are spending a lot of time and energy on making uberAgent really, well, nothing is bulletproof, there are errors, there's always some bugs somewhere, but we're really trying to apply this German engineering principle to the software to make it really stable. The footprint is extremely small, so it doesn't bog down your servers or VDI machines, whatever you have, or physical desktops when it's running. It consumes about 15 megabytes of RAM, just approximately below 0.5% CPU, so 0.5% CPU. It doesn't create any disk idle at all, because the data is kept in RAM and sent off to Splunk as soon as possible. Obviously, we do have a RAM cache, so if there's some kind of network interruption, we buffer that, we cover that. Okay, so let's see how I'm doing for time. I'm trying to keep this quick and simple as I promised. Now, initially, this session was planned to be hosted by myself and by Christian from our Danish partner Connector. And they had a very interesting project Christian was going to talk about. Unfortunately, Christian couldn't come to Dublin, so I'm just briefly explaining what that was all about. So they're a consulting company. They do EUC consulting, Citrix consulting, and many of you do too, I guess. And one of their customers are the Danish police force. And they came to them and they said, look, we want to use that website, use whatever version, so-and-so. We are going to pay you if you manage to keep the log on below 10 seconds.
But it's only from 7 a.m.
Now, many of you, you've seen all kinds of environments, and I guess most of you would probably say that a 10-second log on is not really realistic, kind of impossible in an enterprise scenario. And well, they tried to do it anyway, and they contacted me asking if he wanted to have some information about uberAgent. Why about uberAgent? Because the customer said, well, we need to measure log-on duration somehow, so we're going to use uberAgent for measurement. So that's the reference. When uberAgent shows the log-on time as below 10 seconds, you get paid. Otherwise, you don't get paid. So,
I can call you and said, can you make me a
yeah, right. And they asked me, well, first, how does that work? How is log-on duration calculated, and a few other things? And then, is there any way to optimize that? I'm not going to say cheap, no. But, well, there's no way I know to optimize what uberAgent matters, so they went ahead and they actually managed to drop to push the log-on duration to, I think, 2.5 seconds. That was the number we saw in Las Vegas. So this is absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, it wasn't my project, obviously, so I can't really tell you in detail what they did. One of the many optimizations they did is they didn't use Citrix policies at all. Instead, they put settings directly into the machine's registry. Another thing they did is, instead of populating HK current user, so the user's registry, during log-on, which takes some time, they instead populated the HK local machine registry hive. In many cases, applications look at both. If they find a setting in local machine, well, if they look in current user and local machine. So normally you prefer to configure per user to have flexibility. But if you have the same setting for everybody, why not put it in local machine, was their thinking. And you can do that once per machine if you don't have to redo it for every logon. So they did many different things. Those are just a few of the optimizations I know about. Unfortunately, Christian's not here. He would love to talk in more detail about the optimizations they have. But if you're interested, I can give you his contact email address, and I'm sure he'll be happy to share some insight. Okay. Now, what we obviously uberAgent is a commercial product. I have to earn my living. I need to eat, and drink a beer from time to time. But we like we like to support consultants. Consultants, they often operate in such a way that when they get to a new customer, they want to know what's going on, what applications are being used, what's the footprint of this and that, how long is the login duration when I'm starting with my project, so can I maybe show the customer that I am optimizing his things and making it better. So we are offering free consultant licenses. There are no strings attached. They are limited to 2 months. Just drop us an email, info@uberagent.com, and we'll send you a license right away. Just like that. As I said, the license is limited to 2 months, so you probably want to request it maybe a week or two before you start a project. Then you take uberAgent and the free version of Splunk to your customer, install it. As I said, that takes, if you're very slow, 30 minutes, probably a lot less. And uberAgent will show you what's going on in that environment. And with that data, you can easily find things to recommend, things that are not going well, that are taking too long, that are not correct in some other way, and consult the customer and help them optimize their environment. And maybe if that's a longer running project, request a second consultant license after, let's say, half a year, after you've set up your new farm or whatever you've done for them, and then show them the difference. So show them that, for example, in the old farm you had a login duration of 1 minute. It's probably pretty typical for most larger corporations. And then in the new farm that you build and set up, maybe you have 20 seconds, which in my view is already really good for real-world enterprise environments. Okay, so let me give you a very, very brief demo of some of the things that you can see in uberAgent. Let me see if this works as it should. Let me start with this here. Refresh the dashboard. So uberAgent looks at processes. Processes are of course all those .exe things you see in Task Manager. You know all about that. But in many cases, processes are not that interesting. What you're really interested in is applications. Now, applications are typically comprised of more than one executable. Now, take a look at this first example here. We have 3 processes, acro, RD, 32.exe, and a few others, but the application they belong to is Adobe Reader 11. And that's the thing that's relevant to you. If you want to upgrade to Adobe Reader 15 once that comes out, maybe what you should ask yourself is, what's the footprint of the old version compared to the new version? Maybe the old version needs, on average, let's say 100 megabytes of RAM, and the other one needs, well, does it need more? If it needs 200, then obviously your server scalability suffers. You can get less users on your machines. So what uberAgent does for you, one of the many, this get pretty little things actually, and I'm realizing, yes, this projector is a little bit, this could be optimized to use consultant lingo. So here a little bit enlarged. So we have this Adobe Reader 11. We see all the executables that it is made up of, and scrolling. How is that working? Not very well. Okay. Sorry. Okay, let's try that again. Now the other column here. Wow. Okay. Now you can see, for example, the total CPU that this takes up, the disk I/O that this application is using, all of the processes that make up this application combined. So this is one of the many things that uberAgent does to you, and I don't know if any other product does this automatic grouping of processes of applications. I haven't heard of one, but I might be wrong, of course. And this happens fully automatically. It also works with in-house applications, so we don't have a static list of executables. No, it's fully dynamic. Another thing that we are really good at is analyzing the user log-on and showing you what is going on during the user log-on. So here I performed a ZAP log-on to a test machine just a little bit before, a few minutes before this session. So you can see here we had a session that was launched at well, about 11 to 6 this evening already. The total login duration was just roughly 15 seconds. And can you see that, or should I enlarge it?
It's in the future.
Yes, right. Good observation. Yes, I like to be kept on edge. uberAgent is faking things, but no, I didn't say that. But the VM I'm using is on German time, and this shows that yeah, Splunk totally supports different time zones. Wow, amazing. Okay. Now, yes, so the total login duration coming from the future back to us is 15 seconds, and then uberAgent breaks that up into different phases. Some of them are obvious and pretty well known, like let me enlarge it, it's pretty hard to read. So 1.46 seconds for loading the user profile, which is totally unrealistic in any real-world environment, of course, but well, we have a pretty optimized environment, obviously, here, or a pretty empty one, maybe the latter. So then processing group policy takes 1.37 seconds. Now, many organizations use group policy quite extensively, obviously, and doing lots and lots of things with group policy, and sometimes group policy processing is slow. And many people would be really happy about 10 times that. I've seen group policy processing times going into the minutes, so group policy alone. Now, if you want to know what's happening during that group policy processing, well, uberAgent analyzes that for you. It shows you which group policy objects have been applied. And from those group policy objects, well, group policy is, as you know, modular. Modules are called CSEs, client-side extensions. And here, for example, we have a client-side extension called Citrix group policy. So applying all those various Citrix settings we have in this environment took, well, it was quick, 220 milliseconds. So that's good in this case, no problem there. We don't have to analyze that further. But if this value was bigger, then we certainly should investigate Citrix policies in more detail. Another thing, many organizations, as I see them, they still use logon scripts. And in my view, there's nothing bad about logon scripts, even though everybody keeps telling you, well, it's all logon scripts away, it's a legacy. Logon scripts per se are okay, if you have the people to manage them and to understand them. In many cases, unfortunately, that is not the case. Someone created maybe even a very logically good script, then people added to that, and then people left the company, people changed jobs, and then you have, it's after 10, 15, 20 years, you have that monster nobody understands, but you can't do away with it because, well, you can't figure out what's going on. So the most you might do is change little things that you hope are harmless. So, in many cases, when that logon script runs for a long time, it prolongs the logon unnecessarily, but hey, we don't even know how long it runs because there's no built-in metric in Windows that tells you, well, your logon script ran for 2 minutes 50. You do something about it. So uberAgent detects automatically what processes belong to the logon script. It shows you the total duration, like in this case, the logon script configured by a group policy 2.17 seconds, but it does a lot more. Scrolling down a little bit, we see all the processes that are part of this, that have been part of this logon, and then looking for the group policy logon script. Here. uberAgent automatically identifies many common processes, and the logon script is part of that. I'm trying to highlight this in some meaningful manner. So we have this process and a few other processes below that are part of the logon script. You can see by these bars here how long that individual process took to run. We have absolute numbers in milliseconds if you're really curious. You can see which process started this script. So the script is command batch file executing. If you want to know in detail what that is, just hover. Thank you. Hover with the mouse over that field and you see the full command line to use the long stat script. So basically this is a script called gblogon.cmd, that specific sysvol directory. That script is, you can see that script has the process ID, command executable 3480. You can see that again here, so that script is command window is creating another window and another one. So we've creatively used ping in this logger script. You might or might not find that in your scripts, but some people actually do use ping because in batch language you don't have a pause. So you use ping minus n1 to execute, well, to do anything stupid, basically to pause for 1 second. That of course works for any seconds. You can use ping minus n5 if you want to wait for 5 seconds, but generally, of course, waiting during logger is not that great idea. Okay, now I think I'm nearing the end that has been allotted to me by the gods that create and do E2EDC for us. I'm really happy to be here with all of you. This promises to be another super great event, and I hope you have a great time. If you have any questions, either now in the last 2 minutes or later, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you very much.